Joining us is Mike Thompson. He's the CEO of SVI World, an employee leadership development group based somewhere between Fayetteville and Springdale, Arkansas. We'll let him explain that. His firm has done work for Walmart, Tyson Foods, Dillard's, J.B. Hunt, Procter & Gamble, and many other firms you would and would not recognize. He's the author of a new book titled The Organizational Champion, soon to be available on Amazon.com. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey, Roby. Thank you.
Well, let's start with your consulting group, SVI World. Your focus is on leadership development and training, kind of getting the most out of your employees. On the one hand, in these tough economic times, there really couldn't be a better investment to make than in leadership training. On the other hand, a lot of firms don't have the money to make the investment. So tell me how you're selling your services in today's environment.
Yeah, it's SVI is the name of our organization. We go with the SVIworld.com website because that's the other one was taken. So we operate under SVI, and yeah, I mean we're deeply involved in the leadership development, executive development, organizational development, which includes training and things like that. And it's been a very interesting time, no question. And yeah, we've been students of what's happening, and we've seen different companies handle it in different ways. But probably for the most part, what we've seen is they might not put as many numbers through organizational training as they did before, but they've definitely stepped up the investment they're making with their high potential or their emerging leaders, you know, those leaders that have the greatest promise in their organization. We're seeing organizations take that investment into the high potential and put more of it into the high potential programs.
One of the things that I find kind of fascinating about what you do is that you get to deal with a lot of different needs kind of evolving in the workplace right now. You've got generational changes going on in the ways that you communicate with some different members of each different generation. You've got different technology, you've got different products and services. How do you get your arms around all of these things that are expansive and ever-changing and make sure that you're being as comprehensive as you can be in providing services to your clients?
That's a great question. I think the complex times of today, you know, you've got the economic complexity, the social complexity, the political complexity that exists. It's really pushing our industry like it's never pushed our industry before. And you know, I love organizational development, but I got to tell you, this is an industry that's been known for its tradition, and not a whole lot of innovation has been brought to the forefront. And I think that these challenges are really pushing our industry to get creative, to bring innovation. And you know, I came from the advertising industry and used to have an organization called ThompsonMurray, and man, there's nothing more exciting than advertising, right? I mean, that's the industry that's pegged, you know, nailing that emotional engagement. And what's exciting right now, being in this industry, in the organizational development industry, is we have so many more tools available to us right now, just ways to connect with people. And we're really able to take that training, that learning, and we're able to use different and various tools to reach these people. So training no longer happens in the classroom like it always did before. You don't have to travel all the way to Chicago to go to a seminar. It's more organic than that today, and so you're seeing training happen in all directions, within cultures, within organizations, outside of organizations. And you know, we're starting to get well involved in the social media avenues as well, and just being in the middle of conversations that I guess you'd call them growth conversations and valuable conversations that help people grow and develop.
We're talking about the tools of the trade here. Let's talk about the message of the trade, because a constant struggle for leaders is you got to be honest in assessing some of the economic conditions that a company or an organization is involved with right now. At the same time, if you're too honest, you got the potential to deflate morale for some companies. So how do you advise leaders right now on how to balance that?
It's tough. It's truly tough. You know, one of the things that we see in the most successful CEOs today and the most successful executives today is their ability to connect. And the reason that they're able to connect is because they're vulnerable. They're open. They're honest. They invite people in. They aren't so guarded. And that's been interesting to follow over the last couple of years, to compare the guarded CEO with the open and vulnerable CEO. And what we're seeing is the open and vulnerable CEO has a much better track record. They're more successful. They ignite these cultures in these complex times. But there's also the point of how much is too information. And so what we're encouraging CEOs and executives to do is to deliver the facts. Don't embellish. You don't have to give, all the color to the story, but do share the facts. We're easily exposed today. Information travels so fast, and we can easily tell when CEOs or executives are hiding something from us. And so it's better to be forthright, to be open, to be honest, but don't embellish it either. And then the second thing is make sure that you at the same time are communicating the solutions behind these challenges.
That's really interesting. Now, let's talk about your new book, The Organizational Champion. It's about leadership qualities, leadership challenges. I noticed that the word leadership doesn't appear in the title. What's your thought process there?
Yeah, I love the term leadership. I use it often, and I've studied it. I went to John Brown University and got my master's degree in leadership and ethics, and so spent a lot of time reading all the leadership books. And here's the problem with leadership. It's been played. And what I learned at John Brown University is that leadership, there are over 600 definitions for leadership or any of its derivatives. And so when something means so much, it tends to really not stand for anything. And so I thought that leadership, being a tired term that's been played and played, with the introduction of these complex and challenging times, we need something new. We need something that really delineates leadership from extraordinary leadership. And that's when I brought in the term champions. And champions is just the term that describes those extraordinary leaders in today's complex times, those people that are succeeding in spite of the circumstances. And champions do that. And the interesting word about champions is champions win. They don't just compete, they win. But I also like that champion is also a verb, to champion something or to champion someone. And we need those people today that are willing to step out, to pioneer, to really champion new initiatives, new visions, bold visions, cultures, things like that. And so we've done a lot of study on what the most extraordinary leaders are doing in some of the most successful companies in these times, and the characteristics that we see coming to the forefront with these people is, one, they're enlightened. They know who they are at the very, very core, and because they know who they are at the very, very core, they're genuine, they're consistent, they're authentic, and because of that, you can trust them. But on the flip side of enlightenment is just they have an amazing ability to connect with others. And the reason that they have an ability to connect with others is because they're inspirational. We literally catch their inspiration, and they also approach relationships with just this mutual benefit. They're in constant pursuit of the win-win scenario. The other thing that's really important today is they know how to drive transformational change efforts. They're really good at instilling complex change. These people are the creators of agile companies, and we know that these times call on agile companies. So they can execute well, but not only can they execute well, they're also opportunity-minded, and they dream. They're dreamers, and so we're seeing people that are enlightened, connected, change makers that are opportunity-minded are the ones that are thriving today.
This is the classic chicken or the egg question here, but can you teach that type of leadership? Do you pull it out of someone because they've got it there at their core, or are there some skill sets that you can actually develop within someone?
Yeah, I think there's always ways to teach improvement. We probably hesitate to use the word teach or train because this process probably more calls for a facilitation. How do we ignite the thoughts, the aspirations? How do we really challenge the individual to dig deeper than what they've ever dug before? And how do we help them call that or draw that out within themselves? And so we're really good at, facilitating the process and helping people come to their own conclusions based on their own unique style, their own unique abilities, and their own unique desires.
Well, we've unfortunately got time constraints. We could probably talk for about a couple of days on all of this. Author and leadership advisor Mike Thompson's been our guest. His new book, The Organizational Champion, is out soon. You can follow him through his blog and podcast and other assorted food for thought at organizationalchampions.com. Mike, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Roby. Enjoyed it.
We're back with more right after this.